Greentext dreams thread. Also explain dreams of others. Pic related. My recurring dream. Not a dream in the traditional sense, but more like an odd bout of sleep paralysis. Be me back in college dorm. Fall asleep lying with my head on my hand. Wake up in my room, everything is the same yet different. Can hear a crowd of people talking in the corner. Get angry and say to myself, who the fuck are these people? Hear a voice say,
"Shush. He can hear us."
Crowd dies down and I feel energy pointed at me. Get super cocky. Project myself as having fucking lion's head. Envision purple ooze enveloping the room. This is my fucking domain. Dream ended after the ooze filled the dorm. I never had sleep paralysis before then, and not too long after I got the traditional version of it. But before anything truly anxiety-inducing happened, I realized what was going on and laughed at it, then it ended again. Never had sleep paralysis since. Sleeping one night. Have a dream where I'm escorting some woman around a mall. Don't know who she is or why I'm there, but I gotta stick with her while she shops. Eventually she tells me we're going to a concert. Get there and sit down. A woman and a child sit down behind us. The kid starts kicking the shit out of the backs of our seats. I turn around and tell the lady to please control her kid. She gets offended, tells me not to tell her how to raise her son. Say I'm not, it's just basic etiquette to teach her kid. The kid just starts screaming. An unending, ear-splitting shriek. It gets louder and louder, and the kid's mouth is opening wider and wider, way past the point that's human. Several additional eyes open on the kid's forehead as the room is shaking from the sustained scream. I scramble out of my seat and fall on the floor backwards. Look up to see the demon child standing over me screaming. Wake up. Fully in sleep paralysis. Eyes open, staring at my wall, can't move. Can still hear the scream of the demon child. I'm freaking out. Pry myself out of paralysis by rotating my wrist until I'm free. The screaming stops, I can move. Sit up, look around. Take a sip of water and flip over to sleep on my other side. The second I close my eyes again, I'm paralyzed. Open them, staring at the opposite wall. Feel like I'm being held down by my neck. Suddenly hear a female voice like it's in the room with me. It explains that the monsters in my frequent nightmares are actually real, that they're demons. The reason I have so many nightmares that involve monsters and people I don't know is that I act as a spiritual bodyguard for other people. That I get shunted into their dreams to take the nightmare hit for them. I'm still paralyzed, eyes darting around my room. Rotate my wrist until paralysis breaks. Voice vanishes. Get up and drink coffee until I have to go to work. Sleep paralysis is a trip, lads. Be a fuck up trying to fix his life. Still have some internal anger issues and violent fantasies I need to deal with. Realize I have to control my thoughts so I don't waste so much time on nothing. Start being more spiritual and aware of my mind states. Try to think good about people or not to think about them at all. Just making myself as positive to myself and others as I reasonably can. Have a dream couple of days ago. Wake up in a dream. Huge bulky black shadow standing over me in my childhood bedroom. It's a doom guy shadow person. I find it as strange in a dream as I do now. No, it's full of anger, anxiety, and plain evil, but I feel none of it. I feel stronger, in control. Stand up and escort him out of my room while saying, I have to do this without you. No struggle, I just lead him out with zero effort. Wake up in tears. Feel spiritually cleansed. I'm still far from where I want to be, but I'll get there. You Anons can do it too. I love you all, Wagmai.
I had a lucid dream last night, and for the first time ever I got to explore for a bit and didn't immediately experience something horrifying that forced me to wake up. It was still pretty short, but I was wandering through an unfamiliar city during the daytime. There were a ton of winding roads and intersections everywhere, and all the streets were desolate, except I begun seeing a bunch of dogs sprinting towards me from every direction. I got a disturbing vibe from seeing it, so I made myself float high into the sky. There's not much else to say. I think choosing to float away from the dogs was a mistake, because I quickly forgot I was lucid and it went back to a normal dream again.
In some sort of school of sorts. Walls and furnishing look similar to DMT space for anyone familiar, PIC related. There are lots of humans there, but also entities. Some sort of trials/tribulations happening. Everyone has to go through them in order to pass. Going through trials. Meet girl. Cat wakes me up during the trials, manage to fall back asleep in time that the dream continues. In library at my old job, I worked at a college. Sitting with that girl. We're going through a stack of documents, all of them about the previous tests/trials. Older couple is sitting across from us. Keeps saying to me and the girl,
"The two of you are such a good match. Wasn't that worth all the effort?"
Dream starts feeling more and more distant. Girl grabs my cheeks to turn my face towards her. Tells me,
"You're leaving now, but we'll see each other soon."
Hugs me. Warmest feeling in the world. Wake up. Anons, I want to go back. I started crying when I woke up. Be me at the seaside vacation with my family. Walking around on my own at night like I like to do. City is mostly dark and empty aside from this fenced-off camping place right on the beach, which is full of colorful lanterns and people, and they're doing the conga. In the city I stumble into two old friends of my dad. I go back home past the unfinished hotels, the river, and the commie blocks to my dad's office. It's daytime now for some reason. In front of the office there's an old man who looks like my grandpa. We strike up conversation. I jokingly tell him he looks like my dead grandpa. He starts acting awkward until eventually outright admitting he's my grandpa and he faked his death all those years ago. I am skeptical. I go into the office and tell my mom about him, and she tells me that he told them the same thing. Inside the office I see my brother eating spaghetti bolognese and my dad eating spaghetti with nacho cheese sauce and jalapenos. That's when I got woken up by some noise. Pasting my post from the Scary Things thread. It's the scariest nightmare I ever had. Be me. In a pub drinking with mates. Time, gentlemen, please. Walking home, usual route. Drunk guy gets in my face. Starts kicking off. Nothing new, I'm a giant and manlets always want to fight me when drunk. Guy hits me. It's uncunt.jpg. Kick guy's ass. He's lying there writhing about and groaning like normal. I pick up a brick. Smash guy's head in with it. Keep smashing until skull caves in with that hollow crunchy clonky sound. Guy goes limp. All the blood comes out. Look across street. Like 10 people watching, 2 filming on phones. Another on phone says,
"Hello, police."
I run like fuck. Get home. House is wooden hut made of twigs raised off ground on poles with a bamboo ladder to the front door. I lived in a tenement building. WTF, this isn't my house.png. Wake up. Up until the weird house this was the most fear I'd ever known. I'd murdered someone, in front of witnesses, on camera, and I was 100% going to do life in prison. It was so real, even thinking about it now like 12 years later it still seems like a real memory. I can still smell his lager breath and hear that crunch sound his skull made when it broke. Maybe the third time I post this, but everything felt so fucking real it messed me up for some time. Be me, 17. Tired AF from school and sports practice. Get home, have dinner, and got to bed. I open my eyes. I'm wearing full Mexican Revolution attire. I know the hat I'm wearing wasn't mine originally. We're at a town, we're waiting for doctors. Many of us are sick and wounded from the war. There's about 2,000 to 3,000 of us. We had all the people from the town form into lines. We had the women bring out any money and jewels so we could buy more guns, ammo, medicines, and booze. We're enlisting the men by force. Those who cooperate get a gun and are assigned into a squad. Those who do not get beaten the fuck out and enlisted anyways but with no gun. I'm taking guard at the very end off women's line, with another 2 guys about 50 to 60 feet away from each other. I have a rifle slinged on my back and a gun at my belt. I look at the very end of the line. There's this little girl, not older than 6-year-old. I see she's fidgeting something in her hands and looking around, as if she was trying to sneak out. I see she hides something in her shawl and starts walking away. I shout, then speed walk a bit to catch up to her. Manage to grab her by the wrist and pull her hand up towards me to stop her. I see she has a golden medallion of some saint in the hand I grabbed. Feel something poke my gut. Look down. She has a small gun. She shoots me 3 times in the stomach and I fall to the ground. Feel like my guts are spilling out. Drenched in blood in an instant. I look up to her and she's far more scared than I am. The closest guy to me sees and screams at the other to come help. I toss her the gun at my belt and tell her to run away. She picks it up and starts booking it. The ground feels warm and I feel cold. Someone gets by my side and is yelling my name and holding me by my head. I hear more screams from the women. Get dizzy, eyes can't focus, everything here's like it's far away. Feel like my abdomen is on fire. Everything goes black. I jump awake in my bed, cold and drenched in sweat. First thing I do is lift my shirt to see my stomach. Nothing. I'm still shaking by this point. Couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. Sometimes I get the same dream but it's like I could see of the surroundings and details on things, still the same ending though. I think I saw a past life through a dream. It's hard to green text this because the memory of my dream is very weak. In short, I dreamed that I went deer hunting with my high school female classmate I wasn't even close to and haven't seen for 15 years. I don't remember details, but when trying to shoot a deer, I shot her instead. She died. Police arrived at the gunshot and arrested me. This is the first point I woke up and went back to sleep, somehow miraculously into the same dream. I'm being interrogated as a murder suspect. I wake up again and go back to sleep again into the same dream. I'm in solitary cell, some voice over the radio is mocking me for killing that girl. I wake up again for the last time. Walking down the street. Stop at red light to cross the street. Guy with weird eyes, a hoodie and cap steps next to me. Is staring at me. Stare back. We both do that nod that you do when someone's staring at you. Light turn green. Cross the street and keep walking. He runs and catches up. Taps on my shoulder. Says.
Yo, are you Jules? Friend of so and so?
Answer, nah man sorry, and keep walking. says.
Sorry, you look just like him, too bad.
Answer, no prob, see ya. Pulls out a knife and slices my throat and calmly walks away. No one else in the street. I lie in the sidewalk choking and gurgling on my own blood for a few minutes. Wake up in a cold sweat. Almost chat the bed with this one boys.
Be me. For a week every last dream of the night was the same. Me waking up in my bed and looking at a dark corner of my room before really waking up. Last time I did it, some creepy humanoid jumped out of the corner and ran at me. Wake up. Never had that dream again.
Don't take naps even if I'm tired, since I tend to get paralysis. Do it anyways as I'm tired, only about an hour. During that hour I have at least 2 layers of false awakenings in my old house. But it's like a facsimile or my own memories, as it's not entirely accurate, and within this layer of dream I'm paralyzed trying to fall asleep in my old bed. I live right down the road from family, so it's not that weird for my dog to show up. But I feel his fur but see nothing as my eyes keep flickering like I'm really sleepy or struggling to get out of the paralysis. Wake up from nap. At the end, while hypnagogic, I hear something like,
"And what is your opinion on human-succubus relations?"
Sensing a trap, I say humans only. Also no gays. Continue with my day. Hard drive came in but I forgot to buy a power cable. Walmart and Staples have nothing. Still tired, so proper sleepy time. Still multiple layers, although at the dream house everyone else is asleep. Have dream within dream about my Space Hulk board game being stuck at school since I cheated on a test or some such and had it with me. Realize within dream layer 1 I don't have such a thing, nor does that make sense. General nonsensical dream stuff like that. Then I seem to be staring at a concrete wall, but like a citadel's wall. Within dream layer 2 as my jaw hurts like hell and I'm yelling about it into dream layer 1's pillow, and note it's odd nobody can hear me. See some kind of blue gribbly insectoid thing scrambling around on the ground below. Decide I've had enough. Loudly invoke Christ and soul invitus until it works. It's almost their birthday anyways. Wake up with phantom jaw pain, concerned that I have somehow offended a demon woman and am generally spooked. It's only been about an hour. Go back to bed fine after getting up and walking for a bit. I frequently have dreams about a great flood. The last one. Being chased through a long dark corridor by 2 humanoid creatures. They are wearing black cloaks and have red eyes. After a really long time, I reach a door at the end of the corridor, and step through. Suddenly my anxiety about being chased ends completely, and the darkness turns to light and color as the scene unfolds before me. After I step through the door, I am stood next to a Gothic cathedral. It is crumbling. I can even hear the stone dust trickling down the walls from above. It looks like this building has been neglected for a couple centuries or more. The door I step though disappears. All around the cathedral there is water, but I can make out the tops of buildings along the water's surface. Then a bell rings out, and a large chunk of the cathedral wall crumbles and falls to the ground by my feet. At the same time a flock of birds, startled by the noise, fly out from near the top of the cathedral and head out over the sea. When I woke up I could remember the sound of the bell very clearly. It was as if my ears were still ringing from it. I have like one memorable dream a month. I didn't even dream until a couple years ago. Most are just me needing to pee but I can't find a bathroom. I'll post some dreams I've written down. Me and my dad in a motorboat on a river where I go for walks by often. It's not actually my dad but some sort of father figure. We're searching for some kind of strange cryptid/ghost creature that appears sometimes as a clown. I'm filming with an over-the-shoulder camera. Blair Witch vibes. We're going down the riving during twilight. Very peaceful. Nobody jogging along the riverbank like there usually is. Night begins to fall. We stop the boat. Green light bubbles from deep in the water like the river is boiling and smoking. Strong wind kicks up. We start moving the boat again and keep going upriver. Deep sense of foreboding. The boiling green light is coming out from the entire river. Every so often we pass by a ghostly figure of a person floating just above the water, looking at us. They appear to be rotting. The strong wind breaks off small bits of them and they disintegrate as we pass by. Time changes to morning. See tons people with trucks and campers parked along the riverbank. They're unloading their trucks and setting up strange structures of wood. Many of them are burning large fires. The structures are like maypoles and wicker men. They are worshipping the thing in the water. Wake up abruptly. In Sicily, where my mom is from. Living in a ruined house slowly crumbling into the Mediterranean. Most of my family is living there, my mom's side. There's a sort of marshland in front of the house. My sister's children are playing around there. Uncle June from The Sopranos is my grandfather. He looks a lot like my grandpa and I had just started watching The Sopranos. One day he takes me aside into his room. He takes off his shirt to reveal a huge centipede-like insect with a human face on his chest. It's burrowed into his heart like some kind of parasite. It's coiled around itself into a circle. Almost looks like armor. Next I'm outside with my sister's kids. As the surrounding area crumbles into the sea, I find that the house was built on a graveyard. Hundreds of graves are disturbed. We keep the kids away from the graves and make the kinds play further and further away from the house as more graves are found. I hear the kids scream as they stumble upon a corpse and I run over. It's covered in moss and gets up and begins wandering around. I try to defend the kids from it. I feel strong emotion from it. It is sad and angry beyond belief but feels impotent somehow. It seems to be searching for the centipede bug on my grandfather's chest. Wake up. Sailing in a small boat by myself on the open ocean. Come across a huge castle made of wood floating on the water. Dock my boat and go inside. I walk into some kind of hotel lobby. Vast but mostly empty. Everything is made of wood. There's a few people walking around. I talk to the receptionist. She says that before I can claim my room I must clean the mess left by the previous occupant. I'm led upstairs to my room, passing by countless people sweeping the floors and scrubbing the walls. I reach my room and the door is closed behind me. Looks like the interior of a log cabin. High ceilings. No bed, furniture, or anything. Just a couple of windows looking out to the empty ocean. At this point I notice that the floor is littered with rotting corpses. They're mostly skeletons with small bits of black flesh still attached. They've been there so long that the black rot has become fused with the floor. I begin cleaning and scraping the bodies off the floor. No matter what I do, the black outline of where the corpse fell on the floor and was left for ages still remains. Sleep on the floor surrounded by the palimpsests of forgotten lives. I've noticed that many of my dreams involve a hotel/shopping mall/airport hybrid location, and rotting corpses. I've always wondered what that means. Other themes are work/high school related, but I'd figure that those are pretty common. This is an old one from when I was 13. I'm at home in bed. This is a new house I'm not used to. At the foot of my bed, a silhouette in Victorian dress with a hat and veil. My aunt had been collecting weird-ass dolls dressed like that for a while and they always creeped me out. Appears with a bone-chilling shriek. I've never been more afraid in my life. I watch while totally frozen as she walks out of my room very slowly through the hallway and down the stairs. Another louder shriek is heard that shakes the house before she vanishes into thin air. Feel a week or a month go by in the dream. The scene repeats itself again. Trying to process the fear, it brings to mind the scene in The Lord of the Rings when Bilbo sees Frodo wearing the ring and there's a little jump scare where Bilbo looks all demonic. I feel like I'm frozen in time experiencing that scene for hours when the Victorian woman appears. The morning comes and I try to explain to my family what I saw. They don't listen at all. The cycle repeats a couple of times, the woman appears, I try to tell my family, she appears again before I wake up. The figure I saw was pretty much exactly like the ghost from the movie The Woman in Black, 2012, but a few years before the movie came out. I didn't have the heart to watch the movie for a long time. This was when I was 16 or 17 or so. It's freezing cold. I'm in my truck. I look for something warm to wear but find nothing. I exit my vehicle wearing a t-shirt and jeans. I'm in a huge empty parking lot. I feel that I'm in a big city. I'm born and raised in a very small town, but my family regularly travels to a city a few hours away for shopping. I'm in a parking lot for an antique store that I always fucking hated going to with my parents as a kid, but I'm by myself. I pull my phone out of my pocket. I'm about to text my parents to let them know that I've arrived safely. Decide against it and put my phone away. Walk into the antique store. Enter a long hallway lit by only one light in the center of the hallway. Everything is frozen solid and looks post-apocalyptic. And small figure starts walking toward me. I'm frozen in fear. As the figure passes underneath the light, I realize that it is me. It looks like me but small, frozen, hairless, and looking like a rotting corpse. When it's a couple feet away from me, I hear a woman's voice scream,
Don't touch my child.
and then wake up. I always took this to mean that I was becoming my parents. These days I'd love to go to an antique store and get some neat little decorations for my home, but back then there was nothing I hated more. This is the oldest dream I remember. I think I had it when I was 7 years old. At home, newly renovated kitchen. Get the feel that our home is being attacked by faceless robbers. My father is dying defending me, my sister, and my mother. He's laying on the new kitchen counter as if he were some kind of sacrifice on an altar. I felt that he was entrusting the fatherly role to me. He said to me,
"You'll always be my pal."
Pal being what he called my mother when they were both in high school. Wake up the second he dies. This was about a year ago. I feel I'm on some kind of mission. It's me, some random Asian woman, and an old friend from high school. We're in a massive building, that is a combination of hotel, shopping mall, and airport. Me, Asian woman, and friend are chasing some woman. The woman gets on an elevator and we have to wait until the elevator is finished because it is only fair. After we reach the same floor as the woman, we slow down and catch our breath. I find that the woman we are chasing is A2 from Near Automata. I find out that one of the women we are taking a break with is the woman we are chasing. She's A2 from Near Automata. I try speaking to her. I get a dialogue prompt to talk to her. I get given the choice to kiss her feet or to tell her to fuck off. Wake up before I can choose. I posted this in another thread a few days ago, but I want this thread's thoughts on it. First, I want to say I don't usually use /x/ because I think a lot of you are batshit crazy, but I enjoyed this thread so I thought I'd give back to it. This is 1000% true and I just want to see everyone's thoughts on it because I don't understand it myself. Be me. Probably like 7 or 8 years old. In bed trying to go to sleep. I have this really weird feeling as I fall asleep. It almost feels as though I'm entering third person, or my brain and senses are moving around while I'm actually laying still. It's hard to explain. I get out of bed, not knowing I'm still dreaming. I walk down the hallway to the lounge to see my parents for whatever reason. I did this a lot when I was young. My parents aren't there and I saw their bedroom was empty when I walked past. I get worried knowing they aren't home. This isn't normal. The lounge is the same as I last saw it except the lights are off, and the TV is still on. My parents are not on the couch, instead swallowing the couch is this small void probably 2 meters by 1 meter. I hear some sort of weird music I can't recall. All of a sudden I have flashbacks of different places I am familiar with. My school at the time, the middle of my town, etc. Slowly the weird music fades away and so does my vision in the dream. I don't understand this part fully so I can't really explain it well. I'm still unconscious but it doesn't feel like I'm dreaming because it doesn't feel like I'm a being at all. Everything is a dark void but I can still picture some white dots flying around in this void. For some reason it's terrifying watching these dots fly around, it's like I want them to fly in a specific pattern for some reason. But they're not and I feel terrified and my body feels in pain every time I see them fly out of control. I can't recall what pattern they were meant to be flying in but anyway, that's the best I can describe it. I wake up properly from the dream now. I am completely wet from sweat and I run to the bathroom and vomit, extremely nauseous and dizzy. Barely able to stand up. My mother wakes up and comes to check on me and I just explain that I must have eaten something bad or something. After like 10 minutes I calm down and go to bed. Fall asleep pretty fast because I feel absolutely exhausted. Fast forward a couple of months. The same dream happens again, a few things to note however. When falling asleep I feel the exact same feeling as last time and I recalled this at the time. When I walked down to find my parents, I heard the weird music again and thought to myself, wait, I remember this music. There were far less flashbacks to locations from my past. After I wake up the same shit happens. Vomiting, extreme nausea, and feeling completely exhausted. Fast forward to now. I have had at least 20 instances of this dream occurring spaced out over the years. While 2 happened in that year I described, they are getting less common. Last time I had one was last year. Over the years I have kinda become more aware of these dreams and have taken note of differences between them and my thoughts on them. Here they are. The fake waking up and walking to the lounge to find my parents gone has stopped happening now, although every time it did happen. I always had the thought in the dream that I remember the music that was playing, however after waking up, I can't even remember a single part of the song. Over time the dream has been reduced to just the part in the void with the flying dots. On multiple occasions, I have felt myself slipping into this dream, but then been too scared to sleep. I then lose this feeling and don't have the dream. On one occasion, I have vomited a decent amount of blood, and on 2 other occasions I have had a severe nosebleed after waking up. On one occasion, I caught myself just as I was about to fall asleep. I opened my eyes and saw some sort of white light bleeding in from my windows, and flying through the room, out the door, like some sort of cloud being sucked out the room. However, this may have just been sleep paralysis or something. The third person feeling has just gotten way more common, it feels like an out-of-body experience or something. All in all, my thoughts on this dream are hard to father, but I genuinely feel as though I'm slipping into another dimension I can't understand or something. But I don't really believe that much in the paranormal, even though I love reading stories like the ones in this thread. The void with the dots flying around is just inexplicable and makes no sense to me, yet these dreams exhaust me. I feel kinda paranoid posting about it for some reason. Thanks for reading my story. It wasn't as climactic as some of the other ones in this thread are, but this is completely genuine and I'll come back to this thread in like 12 hours probably to see if Anyone has any questions or interesting thoughts or possible explanations or something? I recently got back in contact with an old friend. We hadn't seen each other for over a year. Life circumstances had separated us. We spent several days together. Days later I had a dream. I was in my childhood school. I have had dreams of locations from my youth. But I hadn't dreamed of this place for years. It was dark, dilapidated, abandoned. As I moved about, shadows began to appear. They took the form of my classmates and teachers. As I continued, their form solidified. Smiles, laughter, a warm atmosphere. Lastly, I came across some treasured possessions. I no longer own them, but I remember them fondly. They were as clean and shiny as when I first got them. Gathering them, the memories of my friend come into mind. They were always here, but I forgot about them. I won't forget again. This may sound obvious, but please don't forget about your friends. They are always with you in one form or another, so long as you remember. Thank you. Many years ago I dreamt of a plague. I was watching TV and they were describing symptoms. At first people get brain fog and dizzy. Then as it progresses you can no longer speak properly and just make sounds. Then you get more lethargic and then the body starts shutting down organs and you die. Some get violent because they are confused about what's going on, like a diabetic who needs insulin. The cause was being researched. Then I was in a public place. Looked like a parking lot of a shopping center or something. They were doing blood tests to see if you could go to the next city or not. Nobody wanted to touch anyone, and when I walked through the crowd who were standing in many different lines, they all stepped forward or backward to avoid me. I approached a lady in a lab coat who was looking at blood samples in a microscope and asked her what was causing it, and before I could finish the rest of my sentence she walked off. I jumped over the barricade and looked in the microscope. It looked like amoeba on crack, taking in red blood cells and turning them black and spitting them out. It would stretch in odd ways across the glass slide and could stretch in multiple directions at one time. When it took in a red blood cell, it looked like it formed some kind of pitting on the red blood cell that would turn dark then get spit out. Then the lady returned and gave me this odd look, and I went to jump back over the barricade but woke up. After I woke up I rationalized the damage to red blood cells and it multiplying in the bloodstream, causing blood sugar levels to drop, as would oxygen levels in the body to drop, causing the symptoms. This is way before COVID or even H1N1 bullshit in America.
Be me dreaming. I'm some young kid in a dark room under a stage light. See a grey alien, old woman, and some lavey looking ass mofo. I'm lying on my back mid-air, the grey alien is watching me. Stomach bulges and a fucking grey eel bursts out of me. Standing up suddenly and the guy tells me to cut the old woman neck. She is fine with it, I do it. Wake up, go back to sleep, the rest of my dreams are violent. The fuck did it mean?